Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. We started last week talking about watching yourself and watching Allah and knowing that Allah is watching you. And we talked about this through the Quran and the Sunnah. And we talked about the wisdom of that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala let us know that we are watched and He is aware of everything that we do. And today inshallah we'll continue this talk taking evidence from the Quran and the Sunnah in this area of watching Allah and Allah watching us. And when we say we're watching Allah, that we are mindful of Allah, and Allah watching us is aware of everything that we do. And the first wisdom that the Quran guides us to know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminded us that we should be sincere and watching ourselves and be mindful of Allah. So whoever is aware and know that Allah is watching him, watching his deeds, he will be actually more inclined to be mindful of him, and as a servant know that and be conscious of that he is watched. He will be definitely within the divine laws of Allah. And we gave many examples last week of from the Quran and the Sunnah of that reminder and that fact that Allah wants us to be conscious of. And the second wisdom of the Quran guiding us to know that we are watched, that this state of being conscious and watching Allah makes your silence and your movement an avenue of getting reward. And the scholar said, so whoever is conscious of Allah at all time, all his deeds, all his action are an avenue of collecting rewards. When you eat, when you drink, you are watching Allah. When you drink, you say Bismillah. When you enter your car, you supplicate. This is the state of conscious. When you sleep with the intention that you become stronger for obedience and work, and the same thing with drinking and eating with the intention of strengthening your body to be righteous and to endorse goodness, that is an avenue again of collecting reward, and make all these deeds again a source of goodness and for you. And it was said so it is big difference between the one who know and the one who is absent-minded of Allah watching him from closeness to Allah or being away from Allah. The one who is absent-minded is way far, and the one who is conscious, he actually in a state of awareness that Allah is watching him. So the one who is conscious, if he eat with the intention to be strong, to be obedient to Allah, to do good things. And the other one is eating and he is not thinking, he is absent-minded. So both of them will finish the meal satisfied and full. One is satisfied after eating and collected reward, and the other one just ate like a cattle, filled his stomach with no gain. So this is a big difference between the one who is aware and the one who is absent-minded in their deed, in what they do, and how close they are to Allah, and the other one how is far from Allah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala let us know and make us aware that He is watching us, so inshallah we'll get more reward and get more credit. And another wisdom and benefit of knowing that Allah is watching you, that you watch Allah as if you see Him, that you pray to Allah as if you see Him. So you will be in a state of calmness and contentment and ease that nothing close to it. And that's why the Prophet said, if you come to start a prayer or approach the prayer, come quiet and come easy and slow. Don't come in a rush, because the servant who is watching Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enjoy that state of ease again. As he approaches the prayer, he is coming in respect and coming in ease. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, he gathered all the goodness, all the righteousness in your worship in one word, that you worship Allah as if you see Him. Because if you worship Allah and in your mind and your conscious that you see Him, your worship will be complete and your worship will be close to what it deserves of being standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the origin of all these awareness and all this state of consciousness of the presence of Allah in your life comes in that word that the Prophet said, that you worship Allah as if you see Him. And also some of the scholars were asked about the verse that Allah is satisfied with them and they are hoping for His blessing, and this is for the one who fear Allah. So the one who is consciously aware of Allah is the one who Allah is happy with him and is the one who is happy with Allah. And that's because the one who watch Allah and conscious of His presence, he actually judge himself and actually prepare for any worship or any deed that he do to do good to the best of his ability. And there is a lot of supplication that the righteous used to supplicate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring him the state of awareness. And the Imam is saying that the honor of the Muslim is to be a servant of Allah, to be in service to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The scholar said, when we understand now that the state of affair is that we are watched, and also we watching Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our deed, and those who are wise, aware and know that Allah is in complete awareness of what's in their heart and what's in their intentions, and watch exactly what they do. He know what they do and see what they act, and he hear what they say, and they know that they're gonna be judged in the day of judgment, and they actually aware of every little miss or a little sin or a little mishap. Those who are in that conscious awareness, nothing will save them from any shortcoming. Is that they are judging themselves, watching themselves, and being conscious of Allah in their life, knowing that Allah is recording through His angel everything that they do. So with this state of awareness, you become more conscious and more in tune as you ascend in that level of spirituality, watching Allah and knowing that Allah is watching you. Now, my dear brother and sister, these facts regarding that Allah watching us and we should be watching Allah in our deed, those who are in that state of awareness are few, and those are the righteous, those are the higher in rank, and they are actually been described in two ways, that they are the truthful, the most truthful, and the other one are the one on the right hand or the right side of the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So very few who actually among people who in that state of consciousness of Allah watching them, and they are watching Allah. And the scholars are not saying this so we wouldn't be scared and think that it's an impossible, but it is an incitement, it is a push for all of us, inshallah, to work hard on this state of consciousness of Allah in our life, watching us and us watching Him in our deed. And it was said that Abu al-Hasan al-Bushingi was asked about goodness, about the strength of faith. He was asked about that. And when they asked him about goodness and righteousness and strong faith, he said it is can be translated into is to be to do the best you can of being conscious of Allah watching you, and you don't see anything that you do different in public from what you do in secret, that your public and your secret are the same. You are not different person when you are in secret from what your deed will be when you are in public. And it should be that what you show in public better than what you show in secret. And we hoping and praying to be among those people who have that high rank of spirituality, that their secret is like their public. We need to know this kind of watch of the righteous, of the early Muslim who were perfected and have a high rank in faith and belief. It was narrated on al-Junayd that he said, I heard Abdullah ibn al-Haris ibn Asad was asked about how he watch Allah and how he is conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala watching. What is it? Who is the one who is watching Allah in his deed, and who is the one who is Allah conscious that Allah is watching? He said, this area of consciousness of Allah's presence come on types, three types, and it will be according to the degree of intelligence, the degree of wisdom, and how people actually know Allah, and in that state of consciousness. This state of consciousness can differ in the level, can differ in the rank, in the grade. So the one who is in more conscious of Allah in his life, the more he become more righteous and more peculiar, or more peculiar in his faith, higher in his rank. So the first one is to be afraid of Allah, and the second one is to be shy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the third level is to love Allah. So one is conscious because he fear Allah, and the other one is conscious of Allah is watching him because he is shy and of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the third one who is conscious because he loves to Allah, and this is the highest level. So the Imam is actually explaining the one who fear Allah, he actually he is aware and afraid, afraid of Allah, that he actually have this state of an anxiety to fall in sins and an anxiety to commit a sin. So he see his sins in like a mountain, so he actually afraid of the punishment, afraid of the consequences. So the one who is afraid, his fear actually create this anxiety to be conscious. But the one who is shy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to see him doing a sin or showing a shortcoming, he actually watching Allah because he is very shy, he is very in a state in a state of being humble to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He doesn't want Allah to see him in a bad place or in a bad state, or this is the one who is shy of Allah, so he is watching Allah because of that. And the one who is in love with Allah, who is the one who loves Allah, he actually watching Allah with happiness, with energy, with goodness and generosity, and he doesn't want to be absent-minded at any time of Allah, his creator. So that person, that one who loves Allah, and his love to Allah make him conscious of his presence, this is the one who is very generous. He is very active. So he have so all these three actually in a state of awareness of Allah watching them, and they are afraid that Allah will watch him or see him in an uncompromised situation, if you will. And all these three types, they adjust their behavior three ways. The first, they actually make sure before they do a deed that it is within the divine guidance of Allah. So they make sure that what they do is within the divine laws and not outside the path, the straight path. So the Imam is giving an example of that state, like a person who is going to perform pilgrimage. He does all his preparation to make sure that he will do his pilgrim right, and he actually perform it well. The second one is he leaves what Allah forbid, fearing to fall in that sin. And if and when he see what is right, he actually do the deed, and he leave what he actually is in doubt that it will actually put him in a shortcoming or in a sin. He actually leave it fearing Allah. And the third one, if he actually start a good deed or start something, he finish it because he want to make sure that he does not do thing unless he do it right. Allah loves those who do something to do it right. So the one who watch Allah, when he start a project or a good deed, he actually make sure to finish it, so he would not have any shortcoming. So the one who did not make sure before he do a deed, fearing to fall into sin, so he actually he would not do it. So in another word, that person have to be in a state of awareness of what Allah forbid and what Allah mandate. So he need to know what is good and what is bad, so he can avoid what is bad and do what is good. And the Imam is saying those who follow innovation because of their lack of knowledge, they actually, their intention is to do good, but they are, because of their lack of knowledge, they actually performing an innovation which is actually a mistake and something wrong. And whoever actually start and do a deed in a hurry, so he without knowing that deed is good or bad, that actually is not also watching Allah. So the irony of this part, that you should be aware and you should be conscious of what is right and what is wrong, and actually to make sure before you do the deed that it is actually not as a wrong or a sin or a shortcoming. And whoever does know that the deed is good and righteous, and he did not do his best to finish it, is actually also have a shortcoming, as he is as he know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala love the person who finish and do his deed well. So you have to finish it and you have to do it well, inshallah. So if you are in a state of conscious awareness that Allah is watching you, you will do the deed, you will finish the deed, and you will do it well. Now we want to see how all these kinds of watching Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and being aware that Allah watching you, how it can apply to different kind of people. The first one, the first one, as we mentioned, the first one who is fearing Allah, he is watching Allah in his deed because he's afraid of his punishment. And this is actually is the way the scholar do. They are afraid. So this fear and this awareness of the might of Allah, as the scholar said, is a state of fear, because you are conscious of the might and the ability and the strength of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and his control over his servant. So as you know the might of Allah, as you know the will of Allah and the strength of Allah, that will actually give you that state of fear, that state of fearing Allah and being mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the more you know Allah and the more you know His might, the more your fear and your state of mind being mindful of Him increase. And this state of fear prevents the servant from performing or doing anything that was forbidden. So he is afraid of doing something wrong or shortcoming. And Imam is saying, it was always said that whoever is in a state of fear, he is always safe. He is afraid, so he's safe. He doesn't do things that it can actually put him in trouble. So that also, that fear of Allah will make you in a state of goodness in public and in secret, and in front of people or away of people. And the Noon al-Masri said, and people will be always on a straight path as long as they are afraid of Allah. And when they are not fearing Allah, they actually get away and slip away from the straight path. So the one who is not afraid will go astray and away from the straight path. And now how that apply to the scholar, and those are the scholar who actually know the greatness of Allah. And when we say the scholar, or the people who know Allah, know the might of Allah and his virtues, his status. And Abu Sufyan al-Thawri said about Abi Hayyan al-Taymi, another scholar, he said, it was always said that the scholar are three kinds. Now, what kind of a scholar there are? One scholar, he know Allah and he know what Allah ordained. So he know Allah and he knows what Allah ordained. That's a scholar. And he know what Allah ordained and what Allah forbid. And another scholar, he know Allah, but he does not know what Allah mandate and what Allah forbid. And then the third kind, he know was what Allah ordained and forbid, but he does not know Allah. He just know the book. He is just know the book. He know what is rightful and what is lawful and what's unlawful, but he does not know Allah. Then then they said, the one who know Allah and what Allah ordained, and he fear Allah and mindful of Allah, and know the divine guidance, and know what Allah mandate of ritual, because he know Allah and he know his divine and he know what Allah mandate and what Allah forbid. So the one who know Allah and what Allah ordered, he fear Allah and he know the divine guidance. And the one who know Allah and he doesn't know his divine guidance, that person actually, or that scholar, he fear Allah and he does not know this what is lawful and what's unlawful again. And the one who know about the divine guidance and he does not know Allah, that's the one who know all the divine guidance and all the boundaries, but he does not fear Allah, he does not watch Allah. And that's definitely is not a person who know Allah at all. The one who definitely know all the divine laws and all the book of Allah, all the guidance of Allah, this is the highest rank, because he know Allah and he know his boundaries, and their fear of Allah is the most strong or the strongest. Ja'far as-Sadiq said that the fear of the scholar, he actually he would be afraid to leave anything of the worship, because he know the guideline of the worship, and he also will be conscious of leaving anything of the truth, or supporting the truth, or explaining the truth. And also he'll be afraid that he is not following the guidance of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So he is a scholar and he call himself knowledgeable, and he is not following the guidance of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in his worship. And also that state of awareness will make him a servant for the righteous, for the higher rank in goodness, and the highest rank in obedience. He will be a servant to those who know more than he does. And the Imam is saying that it's in our reach that we become close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like the righteous and the truthful. And those who don't fear Allah, their knowledge will be actually a witness against him, and it will be a point against him in the day of judgment. So the one who fear Allah, he will definitely follow what Allah ordained and what Allah mandate. So actually, the one who seek knowledge, seeking earthly reward and earthly return, actually also on the wrong path, because he is not collecting knowledge and collecting information for the sake of Allah, but for his own sake. So this one who gathered the knowledge not for Allah's sake is the farthest from being righteous or being good. And the Imam is saying that the one who inherit the knowledge of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, should be applying what he inherited, and actually a reflection of the one who inherited the information from. Now, my dear brother and sister, we are going to talk about the scholar who are a knowledgeable person who know Allah and know His divine guidance, and another one who know Allah but he doesn't know the divine guidance. He doesn't know all the rightful and lawful and unlawful. But why actually the scholar are the one who was taken as an example of worshipping Allah and being conscious of Allah because of their fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because it's actually confirmed what Allah said in Surah Fatir, that those who fear Allah, or the most who fear Allah, is the scholar or the knowledgeable, the one who know about Allah, the one who know His guidance, those who know His might, and those who know His strength. So when you are conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will actually be on the right path. And the more you have more knowledge of Allah, the more mindful of Allah you'll be. And again, that's why Allah said in the Quran that the one who fear Allah the most are the scholar, are the most knowledgeable of Him. And Ibn Abbas said that that the one who he explained the verse that Allah said that the one who fear Him, that the one who know His strength and know His might. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, said to his companion, I am the most among you of knowledge of Allah, and I am the most among you who fear Allah and mindful of Allah. And that's in another narration, fearful of Allah. That's the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, talking. And this state of awareness and being mindful of Allah, because you know Allah and His might and greatness. So their fear of Allah, it is not a fear of His punishment, but actually recognition to His might and His strength. It is not fearing of the hellfire. And that's why the knowledgeable said there is two kinds of fear. People afraid of punishment and fear of greatness. Fear of punishment and fear of greatness. And this is a majority fear the punishment. But also that's important. But there is another fear, which is fear of the might, the greatness of Allah. the Imam is saying that the Prophet asked Allah heaven and actually seek refuge of Allah from the hellfire. So the fear of the punishment is the majority, and the fear of the might that's actually belong to those who are righteous and high in rank in faith and belief. So now that scholar who fear Allah, he fears His might, he fears His greatness, not fearing His punishment. Imam Al-Khadimi said, talking about the verse that those who fear Allah are the scholar, an indication that those who really fear Allah are the most knowledgeable of Him, because that's actually the kind that Allah described Him. And also that verse indicate that heaven will be for those who are mindful of Allah, who actually fear Allah. So for you to enter heaven, the first condition that you are conscious and know Allah, that you are know Allah, know His might, know His greatness. And if you know the Allah and His divine guidance, then it's a better and a higher place. And also the scholar said the scholar or the knowledgeable of Allah will the knowledge of Allah is the knowledge of Allah, the knowledge actually require fearing of Allah. If you have knowledge, you will be afraid of Allah. But if you have knowledge and you are not afraid of Allah, your knowledge will actually not serve you anything. Abbas al-Ammi said that Dawood, the Prophet Dawood, used to supplicate, saying, "Glory to you, Allah, you are my Lord. You are you are in the highest places, in your sitting on your throne. You made the fear of you in earth and in heaven. So, and the closest of your servant to you is the one who is the most afraid of you or conscious of you. And the one who doesn't have the knowledge of Allah, he doesn't have any fear of Allah." So there is no value of knowledge of Allah if you are not conscious of Him and mindful of Him. So the one who does not know with what the one who does not know, I'm sorry, the one who does not act upon with what he know, he doesn't know. So the one who does not act upon what he knows, he doesn't have any knowledge. And Imam Masruq said it's enough to be conscious of Allah over knowledge. And when you are arrogant, it is the most ignorance and the most unawareness of Allah if you act arrogantly. And according to your degree of fear of Allah, the degree of you watching Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if the one who know Allah did actually watch Allah, he will be actually in a state of fear at all time, and he will not find that there is no escape from Allah except to Allah. And Abu Hifz said that fearing Allah is the light of the heart. Fearing Allah is the light of the heart, and that's how you will be able to see good and bad. And if you fear anybody, you will be able to escape from except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the one who is fear of Allah, he is afraid of Allah, and to Allah he cannot go anywhere. The Imam is giving an example that the one who again trying to fear or to flee from Allah, he actually flee to Allah, because you cannot flee from Allah anywhere. And the Imam is reciting the supplication that you do before you go to bed. That supplication you do before you go to bed, and basically it means that you return all your affair to Allah, and you seal your supplication by saying that there is no escape from you, Allah, except to you. And that's something you say if you memorize that supplication every night before you go to bed. And if the one who know Allah escape to Allah, if he escape to Allah, he actually will be in a state of watching Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at all time, struggling in his deed to do the best, and to be generous, and to be generous with your effort, with your energy, and judging yourself when you do any shortcoming or uttering a bad word. So you are in a state of obedience, in complete state of obedience, in perfect way, watching your etiquette and watching your behavior, and when you slip, you hurry with repentance and asking Allah's forgiveness, pondering what you did of shortcoming and correcting it, and making sure that you don't do it again, and you stay away from it. then in the end you witness to Allah for His bounties, for every blessing that you have. You witness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with this state of consciousness to Him. Then you thank Allah for everything that you have and you possess, and then in the end also you judge yourself for what you do. Ibrahim ibn Sufyan said, if fear settled in the heart, he actually burned all the areas of the sinful desire and expel the earthly desires from your heart. So the fear of Allah, when it's settled in your heart, it will actually do you good, as it will get rid of all the areas of sinful desires. And now we're talking about this fear will give you a goodness in your deed. In a hadith narrated by Abi Malik al-Ash'ari, that he said, O Prophet of Allah, what would finish or complete righteousness? The Prophet said, is to do in your secret what you do in public. Also, it was narrated by Halaqa on the authority of Uqba that he said, if a person did a deed in secret, he did it good, then he did the deed in public like it, Allah would say, this is my servant, the truthful one, the one who do the deed in secret, the same as you do it in public. That will actually bring you the recognition from Allah that this is my truthful servant. Also, it was narrated on Abi Hurairah that he said, I heard the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, saying, whoever fear, go back, and whoever go back, he reach his home. I'm sorry. Whoever who is in a state of travel, whoever fear the road, he actually start his travel early, and whoever start his travel early, he reach his home. And the Prophet continues saying that the merchant of Allah is very expensive, and the merchant of Allah is heaven. What Allah is selling and providing is heaven. And also Jesus, the son of Mary, said, fearing Allah and loving His heaven, they keep the earthly glitter away from you and will make you inherit patience and for all the hardship. And then that one who know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will continue with his fear ascending in his grade or degree of fear, that he stay away from all what is prohibited and what is close to falling in sin or shortcoming, until he reaches a state of piety and a state of being mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is when he go to a higher level of goodness and a higher level of watching Allah and knowing that Allah watch him. And inshallah we'll continue next week this subject, inshallah. Brother, if you have any question, let me know. I did the best, and if it's good, it's from Allah, and if it's bad, it's from me. Assalamu alaikum.